Hey folks, welcome back to the garage. You know, there's nothing like the roar of a classic American V8, the smell of gasoline, and that feeling of freedom you get behind the wheel of a vintage Detroit beast. But today, we're not talking about your usual suspects, the Mustangs, Camaros, and Corvettes that everyone knows and loves. No, today we're diving deep into the world of underrated American muscle, those hidden gems that packed a serious punch but never quite got the recognition they deserved. These are the cars that your grandpa might have owned, the ones you'd see at the drag strip back in the day, leaving more celebrated competitors in their dust. We're talking about raw power, torque that could twist the earth, and a whole lot of heart under the hood. So buckle up, because we're about to take a trip down memory lane and uncover some of the most underrated American classic cars of all time. Now, let's kick things off with a real sleeper, the 1968 Dodge Coronet RT 440. This car was a wolf in sheep's clothing. From the outside, it looked like your average family sedan, but under the hood, it packed the legendary Magnum 440 engine. We're talking 375 horsepower and a whopping 480 pounds-feet of torque. This thing could roast the tires all day long and still get you to church on Sunday. The 440 was a beast of an engine, and it came paired with either a sturdy 3-speed torque-flight automatic transmission or a 4-speed manual if you wanted to row your own gears. And let me tell you, this car could move 0 to 60 in just under 7 seconds, which was nothing to sneeze at back in the day. The Coronet RT 440 was a true sleeper, often overlooked for its more flashy brethren like the Charger, but those in the know, they knew this car was something special. It was a true muscle car bargain, offering incredible performance for the price. Now, you can't talk about underrated muscle cars without mentioning the 1969 Dodge Charger RT 440. This car was a masterpiece of design and engineering, with its aggressive lines and that iconic Coke bottle shape. But unlike its big brother, the 426 Hemi-powered Charger, the 440 version flew a little more under the radar. Don't let that fool you, though. This car could still hold its own on the street and the strip. The 440 Magnum engine pumped out a respectable 375 horsepower and 480 pounds-feet of torque, enough to get your heart racing and put a smile on your face. You could have it with either a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual transmission, depending on how much you like to be in control. The Charger RT 440 was the perfect blend of style and performance. It was a head-turner that could also smoke the tires and leave most cars in its dust. It might not have had the same legendary status as the Hemi, but it was a true muscle car icon in its own right. All right, folks, now let's talk about a true beast from Plymouth, the 1971 Barracuda 426. This car was a monster in a muscle car suit. It packed the legendary 426 Hemi engine, the same one that dominated NASCAR, and it was a force to be reckoned with on the street. We're talking about 425 horsepower and a staggering 490 pounds-feet of torque. This thing could launch from 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds, which was supercar territory back in the day. You could pair that power with either a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual transmission, but either way, you were in for one wild ride. The Barracuda 426 was a rare breed, with only a handful of them ever made. It was the ultimate expression of American muscle, a no-compromise performance machine that struck fear into the hearts of lesser cars. Today, it's a highly sought-after collector's item, and for good reason. This car is a legend. Now, let's talk about a car that was born to stand out, the 1969 Pontiac GTO The Judge. This car was all about attitude, with its outrageous styling, bold colors, and that massive rear spoiler. It was the epitome of the muscle car era, and it demanded attention wherever it went. Under the hood, the Judge packed a Ram Air 400 cubic inch V8 engine that cranked out an impressive 370 horsepower and 400 pounds-feet of torque. You could choose from a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual transmission, and with either one, you were guaranteed a thrilling ride. The Judge was a car that was meant to be seen and heard. It was loud, it was proud, and it was fast. It was a symbol of American performance and excess. And it remains a highly collectible classic car today. Now, let's talk about a car that was often overlooked but shouldn't be, the 1970 Buick GSX Stage 1. This car was a true sleeper, with understated good looks that hid a potent performance machine under the hood. The GSX Stage 1 was powered by a 455 cubic inch V8 engine that was officially rated at 360 horsepower, but was widely believed to be underrated. In reality, it probably made closer to 400 horsepower and a mountain-moving 510 pounds-feet of torque. That's right, 510 pounds-feet of torque. It came with either a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual transmission, and it could rocket from 0 to 60 in just over 6 seconds. The GSX Stage 1 was a true muscle car bargain, offering incredible performance for the price. Now, let's talk about a car that was both stylish and powerful, the 1970 Oldsmobile Cutlass 442 W30. This car was a true gentleman's muscle car with its sleek lines, luxurious interior, and a heart of pure performance. Under the hood, the 442 W30 packed a potent 455 cubic inch V8 engine that was officially rated at 370 horsepower and 500 pounds-feet of torque. However, like many muscle cars of the era, the horsepower was likely underrated. This car could really move. It came with either a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual transmission, and it could sprint from 0 to 60 in just under 6 seconds. The Cutlass 442 W30 was the perfect blend of performance and luxury, and it remains a highly sought-after classic car today. Now, let's talk about a car that was a true icon of the muscle car era, the 1969 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 396. This car was pure muscle, with its aggressive styling, big block power, and a reputation for burning rubber. The Chevelle SS 396 was powered by, you guessed it, a 396 cubic inch V8 engine. You could choose from a variety of horsepower outputs, ranging from a respectable 325 to a tire-shredding 375 horsepower. And let's not forget about that torque, with up to 415 pounds-feet on tap. This car was all about raw power and performance, and it was a blast to drive. It could be had with either a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual transmission, and it could go from 0 to 60 in around 6 seconds flat. The Chevelle SS 396 was a true muscle car legend, and it remains one of the most collectible Chevrolets of all time. Now, let's talk about a car that was built for the track but made its way to the street, the 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429. This car was a legend in its own time, created to homologate Ford's new 429 cubic inch semi-Hemi engine for NASCAR competition. The Boss 429 was a beast, with its massive engine barely fitting under the hood. Ford officially rated it at 375 horsepower, but many believe the actual output was closer to 450 horsepower, with mountains of torque to boot. This car was all about dominating the track, and it did just that. But it was also a handful on the street, with so much power on tap that it could be a challenge to control. Still, the Boss 429 is one of the most sought-after Mustangs ever built, and it remains a true icon. of American muscle. Let's talk about a car that was often overshadowed by its Mustang sibling, but was a true performer in its own right, the 1968 Ford Torino Cobra Jet. This car was a sleeper, with understated good looks that hid a potent power plant under the hood. The Torino Cobra Jet was powered by Ford's new 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet engine, which was officially rated at 335 horsepower, but was likely underrated. This engine was designed for performance, and it delivered. The Torino Cobra Jet was a force to be reckoned with on the drag strip, and it quickly earned a reputation for its performance. It was available with either a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual transmission, and it could run the quarter mile in the mid-13-second range, which was impressive for its time. Now, let's get back to the Mustang stable and talk about a car that combined style and performance in one sleek package, the 1969 Ford Mustang Mach 1 428 Cobra Jet. This car was a head-turner, with its aggressive styling cues and that iconic shaker hood scoop. Under the hood, the Mach 1 428 Cobra Jet packed the same potent 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet engine found in the Torino, officially rated at 335 horsepower, but likely producing more. This car was quick, and it could hold its own on the street or the strip. The Mach 1 428 Cobra Jet was a driver's car with its responsive handling and powerful engine. It was available with either a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual transmission, and it could go from 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. It was a muscle car that could do it all, and it remains a highly desirable classic today. Let's talk about a car that was so rare it was almost mythical, the 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. This car was the stuff of legends, created as a special order option for those who wanted the ultimate in Camaro performance. The ZL1 was powered by an all-aluminum 427 cubic inch V8 engine that was originally designed for Can-Am racing. This engine was a technological marvel, and it produced an estimated 430 horsepower, though some believe the actual output was even higher. The ZL1 was incredibly expensive for its time, and only a handful were ever built, making it one of the rarest and most collectible Camaros ever. It was a true performance car, capable of running the quarter mile in the low 12-second range, which was unheard of for a production car in 1969. Finally, we come to the king of the hill, the 1969 Chevrolet Corvette L88. This car was the ultimate expression of Corvette performance, a race car disguised as a street car. The L88 was powered by a monstrous 427 cubic inch V8 engine that was officially rated at 430 horsepower, but was widely believed to be significantly underrated. Some estimates put the actual output closer to 550 horsepower. This engine was designed for one thing: speed. The L88 was a rare breed, with only 216 examples built in 1969. It was also incredibly expensive, costing nearly twice as much as a standard Corvette. But for those who could afford it, the L88 offered unparalleled performance. It was capable of running the quarter mile in the high 11-second range, which was supercar territory in the late 1960s. Well, folks, there you have it. 12 of the most underrated American classic cars of all time. These cars may not have always gotten the recognition they deserved, but they were all true performers in their own right. They represent a time when American automakers weren't afraid to stuff a big, powerful engine into just about anything, and they created some of the most iconic and collectible cars ever made. So next time you're thinking about classic muscle, don't forget about these underrated gems. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more classic car content, and let me know in the comments which one of these underrated classics you'd most like to park in your garage. Until next time, keep those engines revving